Hi and welcome to Stella's Meza. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make some beef kebabs. Now to begin with, you will need some beef, and I use sirloin that I went ahead and cubed, and you want them to be around this size, some bite-sized pieces. If you can't find sirloin, just whatever cut of meat you use, cut against the grain, that way you have tender cuts. Now for the kebabs, you'll also need a red onion, some grape tomatoes, and some baby potatoes. You'll also need 2 cloves of garlic that have been crushed and 1 bay leaf, some onion powder, some garlic powder, some sage, some cinnamon, some salt, freshly ground black pepper, some chili powder, and some olive oil. Now that's what you're going to use for your marinade. You'll also need some Worcestershire sauce, and that's great for any kind of meats. Now as far as the potatoes that we'll be using, we're going to use rosemary and onion soup mix that you see here. These are just bought at the store, and we're going to use just a little bit of that, and that's what the little sachets look like inside of the box. And you're going to use tea tablespoons full of that and some dry rosemary. Right, now as far as equipment, you will need a grill pan or an actual outdoor grill. And I'm using a Ziploc bag to marinate my beef, but if you'd like, you can use a container with a lid. Now I'll sit my Ziploc bag in that dish that I just showed you. You'll also need some skewers. Now you can opt to use metal skewers like I did, or you can use wooden skewers. And if you do decide to use wooden skewers, make sure you soak them in water at least 30 minutes before you start grilling. That way they do not burn. Now to begin, we're going to marinate our meat. You can see I put the meat pieces in that Ziploc bag, and I'm sitting it over that baking dish. And I'm just going to kind of fold our bag, that way you can have access to the inside. And into that bag, I'm going to add the garlic and the bay leaf. And then I'm going to add our olive oil. Now you can use extra virgin olive oil or just regular olive oil. If you would like to, you can use any other kind of cooking oil if you don't like olive oil. And to that, I'll add our Worcestershire sauce. Okay, and initially I added 1 tablespoonful, but I went ahead and added a couple more. Now for all the ingredients in this recipe, for the list and step-by-step instructions, be sure to visit my website. It's www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. I'll also include a link that directs you to the recipe, to this recipe, underneath this video, so make sure to look. Now in that bag, I'm adding the freshly ground black pepper and our salt. That's a lot of beef, so that looks like a lot of salt, but really it isn't too much. And you want to add the chili powder. Now at this point, you can add as much or as little as you like. If you like your food spicy, go ahead and add more than what the recipe calls for, and the link I'll include below. If you like less, just add a little bit less. All right, and I'm adding our garlic powder. I just added our onion powder right before that. And I'm adding the cinnamon powder. And I'm using ground cinnamon for this recipe. And I'm adding that in there. And then I'm adding our dry sage to the marinade. And you want just a little bit of it, not too much. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and push out the air from that bag. Just release the air like I'm doing right there. And then I'm going to zip it up, and I'm going to lay to the side, and I'm going to massage all the ingredients into that beef, just to make sure that every piece of beef in there gets that marinade. Then I'm going to put that bag in that dish like you see up there, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And you want to marinate it for about 4 hours to overnight. Size pan, I have the potatoes that I showed you earlier. I've just covered them with water, and you want to lightly salt your water, okay? And then you want to place it on the stove on medium-high heat and let it simmer until those potatoes are fork tender but not done all the way through. Like you can kind of insert a knife in there, but they're not done all the way through. All right, and you're going to set those aside. Now we're going to go ahead and make our yogurt sauce. Over here I have just plain yogurt unflavored. I have there half of a cubed cucumber and some fresh dill. Now I use English cucumber because I did not have to seed them, and I think they're a little sweeter than the other kind of cucumbers. So all you got to do is just combine everything, all the three ingredients. Into that bowl goes the cucumbers, and then I'm going to add the chopped up dill. Okay. And this sauce is so easy, but I like it whenever I'm eating something that has a little bit of heat to it because it just cools down that heat. So all you have to do is combine it like I'm doing over there. And then once you're done, you're going to you're going to cover the container and place it in the refrigerator until you're ready to serve whatever it is you're using it on. Right, just give it a good toss like I'm doing over there. Okay. And that's pretty much it. It should look like this. See, it's very creamy. Now you can also use Greek yogurt for this. I use full-fat plain yogurt. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do after those potatoes have cooled down is you're going to cut them in half. And then now we're going to season them. Remember that onion soup mix we had and the rosemary, the dry rosemary I had shown you earlier? Now this is when they come into play. So I'm going to add about a teaspoonful of the dry rosemary into that. You can also use fresh rosemary, just get it off the sprigs. And then I'm going to use around 2 tablespoonfuls of this onion soup mix. Now you don't have to use this particular brand, so long as it's onion soup mix, it'll work. And it adds such a great flavor to the potatoes. Very quick recipe. You can also just use this on regular potatoes as a side dish, just season them up. Now I'm going to add that olive oil to the bowl, just so the potatoes don't burn and also to bind everything together. And then once I'm done, because those potatoes have been slightly cooked, I'm going to use a rubber spatula and gently fold that mixture to coat the potatoes. You want to be gentle or you're going to break your potatoes. All right, just keep tossing them till you see that everything's covered. And then you're going to place that to the side. So you have your potatoes ready, you have your yogurt sauce ready. Now all that's left is to combine or to put that beef into the skewers to put your kebabs together. All right, so our beef has been marinating overnight and I want to go ahead and assemble the kebabs. So there's no particular order in which you should put the ingredients in the kebabs. I'm sorry, that onion that we had I'd shown you earlier, I went ahead and quartered it and then cut those quarters into half to get those shapes that you're looking at that I just showed you. So I was saying there's no particular way to assemble your kebabs, just whatever looks right for you. What I try to do is make them all look uniform. So if I start with tomatoes, I'll put a potato in there, and then I'll put an onion, and I'll put a cube of beef, and I'll repeat. It's just the same. It doesn't have to be, there's no science to it. Whatever looks good to you, that's how you go. And as you can see, that potato is very tender. It just goes through easily. Had I not kind of cooked it earlier, it would have given me a harder time. And you want to be careful with the tip of either your skewer, your wooden skewer, or your metal skewer, because it could hurt you. So just be careful. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is reach into that bag and pick up a cube of marinated beef, and I'm going to insert it into that skewer. And then I'm going to keep going and repeat. Now, what I have on the side there is a baking sheet that's covered in aluminum foil on the left-hand side. So each time I'm done assembling a skewer, I'm going to place a skewer onto that baking sheet until I am ready to start cooking. Now, in the meantime, on my stove, I have my grilling pan that's heating up on medium heat. And I just want to make sure it's nice and hot so when I'm ready to cook the kebabs, the stove is nice and hot. All right. And also be careful when you're doing this with the onions, because there's potential there to injure yourself with the skewer. So be very careful. All right, now this dish is something that can be eaten as a starter, as a main course, okay? And I like, it's great for large gatherings. People really seem to enjoy these. They're very delicious. As you can see, they're easy to make. You can start marinating. If you can marinate your beef the night before, all you got to do is just throw everything together, assemble your kebab. So it all can also save you on time. This is something you can easily do, especially in the warmer months after work, as long as you've marinated your meat before. Okay, that gives you time. All right, now there's our grill pan. That's on medium heat. What I'm going to do is lightly coat it with some cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray, and then I'm going to start placing the kebabs onto the hot grilling pan, just like this. And I like to put 3 or 4 at a time. Now you can also do this on an outdoor grill, okay? And that'll give it that nice smoky flavor from either the wood chips, if you're using that, charcoal, or whatever it is you're using. So I just want to make sure that the surface of the beef is touching the grill pan. That's why you see me kind of pushing down on there. That way the beef cubes can get those nice grill marks. All right. And then once you've seen those grill marks, like right there, you want to go ahead and turn your kebabs. And be careful if you're using metal skewers because they do get hot. Okay, and just make sure you turn them on all sides. Now this, my friends, is the end result. Now look at that plate full of goodness. They're sizzling hot. They're delicious. Now what I do as I cook them, I go ahead and place them into the warm oven just to make sure they're nice and hot when everything's all cooked. Now I'm serving mine up with some whole wheat pita bread that you see on the plate and a green bean and carrot salad. Now look at that. Let me bring you closer. Everything's just nicely cooked. Everything is seasoned very well. That beef is very tender and succulent, very juicy. Look at that. Full of color. The aromas are very intense. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dish. And I'm going to drizzle some yogurt sauce up over that, and I'm going to enjoy my beef kebabs. See that? Look at those beautiful grill marks. Well, thank you so much for joining me this time. Join me next time as I take your taste buds on another culinary safari. Karibu, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, 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 yeah.